is lowercase and is uppercase. If the character that you're looking at, the string that you're looking at, is all uppercase, that would return true, otherwise it would return false. Is lower is the exact opposite. I'm curious as to what it does if there are non-letter characters in the string. So if we do this, A is equal to Bob, and then we do A dot is lower, it should print true. What if A is equal to Bobby! Exclamation mark. A dot is lower. Still true, because at least all the letters are uppercase. Excuse me, lowercase. What if you do A is equal to empty? And then A dot is lower. There are no lowercase letters. Probably going to return false. Yep. Then on the next page, comparing strings, figuring things out about strings. If John equals John, yeah, that's true. If John is equal to lowercase John, that's false. If John is less than John, well, yeah, whatever. It just sorts it where uppercase letters, in alphabetical order, but where uppercase letters are all considered lower than all lowercase letters. Here's the N. The N is interesting. Check to see if this substring is in here. Now John here's got a lowercase j. John here's got an uppercase j. So if you do if John in John Johnson, it would not do the if. But if you did if OHN, all lowercase, in John Johnson, yeah, it's true. So it would do your if. You could also do not in name. Name.count, that returns how many occurrences of the letter or the string. So if we had John Johnson as our name and we did .count, it finds two sets of OHs. .find locates that string or that character and returns the index value. 0 if it's at the beginning, non-zero if it's later on in the string, -1 if it doesn't find it at all. So let's play with a couple of those just to burn those in. Let's ask for a name. Name is equal to input. What's your name? We want to find out if they have the letter E in the name. So X is equal to name dot, well, we can do E in name. If E in name, but we better put quotes around that E, otherwise it thinks it's a variable. If E in name, print the name has an E in it. Else colon no E, print no E. Let's check to see if the name is all uppercase. Ups is equal to name dot is upper. And then let's print ups equals, end quote, ups. Let's make sure that it only consists of letters. I don't like the fact that that would kick out spaces, What if they entered a first and a last name? But anyways, we're going to do al, or al, als. How about just letters? Letters is equal to name dot is alpha. And then let's print letters equals, comma, letters. I'm calling mine string stuff. String stuff. There we go. All right, what's your name? My name is Jeff. If I could type, J-E-F-F. The name has an E in it. Ups is equal to false. There's no uppercase letters in it, or it's not all uppercase letters. Letters is equal to true. Yep, it's all letters. I'm going to type in something with numbers in it as well and see how that changes things. I didn't mean to cover up the text of the code with that, with the shell. What's your name? My name is Jeff123. It does have an E in it. It's still not uppercase letters. Letters is equal to false. Now it does have letters in it. It's just not all letters. That's what isAlpha does, is return whether it's all letters or not. I don't remember if the doc has begins with and ends with in it, but that's pretty obvious. If name dot begins with J, you know, if name dot ends with L, that kind of stuff. Let's go take a peek. No, it doesn't. Those should be added to the list. I didn't ask about them, but they're useful. Oh, here they are. More operations for testing strings. Substring and S. We already solved that one. If E in name, return true. Count. If I want to count how many E's, I can do that. So I'm going to make one called eCount is equal to name dot count, and I want to count how many E's, lowercase e's, are in that name. And then I will print eCount. What's your name? I'm going to type in something with 2 E's. Jeffrey, because I want to see it say 2. Yep, eCount is 2. And it is all letters. I didn't add any spaces to it or anything. No, wait a minute. I still haven't tested it with spaces in it to see what letters does there. What's your name? Jeff Thompson. Letters is equal to false. A space does not count as a letter. I suppose you could write a more complicated check to see if there is an E in it. Anyways, okay. Excuse me, not an E, a space, but anyways. Starts with and ends with. I said begins with, my apologies. Starts with substring or ends with a substring. So if I wanted to, you know, I could do this. If, you know, name dot starts with a D, you know, whatever. Print. Hello, Lord Vader. All right, on the third page of our cheat sheet, some other useful functions. How to get the length of the string. How to count the number of characters in a string. We've already seen that one. How to make the string all uppercase or all lowercase. How to replace all the characters in a string that match something with something else. And how to strip it. Stripping just means taking out the white space from both ends. So let's print the length of the string. x is equal to s dot len, excuse me, name dot len. Nope, 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 where am I going with this? Len parentheses name, yeah. And then print length is, comma, x. I guess yeah, we did count. Count is cool. Replace. Let's replace all the E's in the name.
On length? Never mind.
I'm sorry.
Nope.
Okay. I'm going to replace all the E's in the name with question marks for whatever reason. And then I'm going to print the name back out. What is your name? Joe. That replace statement didn't work. That's because I did not store its results. If you just call name.upper or name.lower or name.replace, it doesn't actually change the string. It just returns a new version of it. So I need to store it either back in itself or in a new variable. So I'm going to change this line here to add name equals name.replace. If I don't do that, then I don't get any changes in it. All right, so we printed J-O question mark.
No, it says Joe.
The typical assignment for testing out all these things is to write a password checker, password verification. Write a program that makes sure that it has both uppercase and lowercase letters, it's got one number in it, and no spaces, that kind of thing. So that will be the assignment. Let's go ahead and assign it. But we'll make it due, not next week, but in a couple of weeks. I suppose we ought to do a little bit more, though, than just what we've demonstrated here if I'm going to assign that. How would I want to do all these things? I think what I would want to do is test it letter by letter. So, let's write something that says uppers is equal to 0, spaces is equal to 0, we could count the number of spaces, you're right, but instead I'm going to write a for loop that goes all the way through it. For CH, just standing for character, in username, colon. So for every letter in the username, if ch.isUpper, we're going to add 1 to the uppers count. Uppers plus equals 1. And then if ch, we could use if space in ch. That's almost superfluous. We could just do if ch equals equals. But anyways, I'm going to stick with that syntax. Then the number of spaces plus equals 1. Then down here, we could write some logic. If space is greater than 0, print no spaces in username. There should really be password, right? Let's I'm going to leave it like this. You can change it. You know what to do. elif uppers is equal to 0, print must have at least one uppercase letter. Else, if everything else is great, print. Good. Matches criteria. All right, I'm going to run it, and I'm going to put a space in it, even though it's all uppercase, Joe space Bob, because I want it to tell me it's not a good thing. Ew, it blows up. And it's because we're going to have to replace all username anyways, right? Because it was really just name. So tell you what. Let's add an input statement above all this. Password equals input. What is the new password? And here where we did ch in username, change that to for ch in password. And then down here where it says no spaces in username, obviously that would be a good thing to change to. Change this as well. So I typed in Joe space Bob as my password, not that you can see it, and it told me no spaces in password. I'm going to run the program again. I'm going to take the space out, and I'm going to type it all in lowercase. Joe Bob. It tells me it should have at least one uppercase letter. And so we can keep piling on criteria. If LEN password is less than 8, then print an error message. That kind of stuff. So our criteria for the assignment is going to be a good password must have a length of 8 or greater, or must not be less than 8. It must have at least one uppercase and one lowercase letter. It must have at least one digit. It must have no spaces. We're like already 3/4 of the way there by the time we do this. Trying to think of a way to make it slightly more interesting. Pardon me? That'd be a good idea. Do we have a symbol over here? Is if is alnum equals false. Yeah, if you do if is alnum equals false, you could count the number of special characters.
But would that count a 1, 2 then?
Alnum.
Okay, then if it's alpha,
So it would be false regardless of whether it was an A or a 1,
right.
which is what you want. Okay. Must have at least one special character you can check for special characters with if ch dot is al num parentheses equals false. Or if you like the word not, you could do it that way. Some people like to make these things look like this. If not ch dot is al num. That's the same thing. Those are the two same statements. Alrighty. Now for you all who had my 1113 class, don't go back and just grab your assignment from last semester. You can look at it if you get stuck, but try to do it without it. The last cool thing to do would be to make sure that the name does not occur in the password. How would we check that?
If you did it up there already.
We did something like that. We did if E is in the name.
Right.
So we could do something like that down here. Yeah, if name in password. Yeah, we print can't use your name as part of the password. Also, we need to check it against a list of the 10,000 most popular passwords. That'd be a cool assignment.
Stop brainstorming.
Yeah.
You're making it.
Yeah, the most popular passwords tend to be password, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. God, like I am God.
ZXSW2.
Yep. QWERTY. For some reason, in England, the word Fred is a very popular password, but the English are kind of odd. Okay, so we'll add that as our rules. Good password must not have your name in it. Okay, so to get this to work, we have a lot of silly stuff here. We could comment out everything from there down to here. I would recommend you do that. How do you comment out a whole bunch of stuff at once? You can either use a multi-line comment, which is 3 quotes, or you could just highlight all the text and then choose Format Comment. That's what I'm going to do. Or you could just delete it. But I'd leave it there so that you can reference it.
There's some good information in there.
Yeah, there's good information in it. So, you know, my name, date, password checker assignment. After we ask for the name, after that if statement, let's start highlighting. We want to go all the way down to where we ask for the password. Then we want to choose Format Comment Out. Then later, if you decided to uncomment it, you would just choose Uncomment Out region. That just puts double hashes in front of everything.
Or delete the hashes.
If you'd rather use the triple quote way of doing it, which we've done in some of our assignments, I believe, or not assignments, but in class, you could do that. All right, that'll be the assignment. Let's move on slightly. Do you remember on Monday I said that I was racking my brains trying to do something? Well, I figured out how to do it. Yay me. Okay, so say you have something like this. L is equal to, and let's just put some words in our list. The, comma, quick, comma, I'm not going to type the whole sentence. Brown, comma, fox. Like that. Just so we have a list. say we wanted to print every item in the list. Well, a couple of ways we could do that. What's the way that we've learned? For
Whatever.
S in L or whatever. S and L? So I don't know. Like, anyways, for, yeah, S in L or X in L, whatever you wanted to do. Print S. That's one way to do it. There is a somewhat cooler syntax that is slightly more powerful than that. I'll show you what it is. And it won't look that amazing at first, but then I'll show you why it's actually pretty useful. That's one way of doing it. Here's another. Print S for S in L. Now that looks crazy, doesn't it? Because it's got those braces around it.
Yeah, it wants to make it seem like its own list.
That's exactly what it's doing, is it's making its own list, but it's not the only thing it's doing. I'm going to call this one lister. And so it printed it out twice.
Yeah.
What this syntax is really supposed to be for is for creating a new list. So what you can do is you can embed a function here that modifies the string in some way. Like maybe make it uppercase. So let's define a function called upperme that takes a string and then returns string.upper. Now we're going to use this fancy one-line syntax to create a second list that all the items in it are uppercase. L2 is equal to brace upperme. I'm going to put some spaces in here to make it easier to read. Spaces are unnecessary. S for S in L. And then let's print out L. Just to look at it, make sure that we didn't change it. The goal of this was to not change the original list, but to create a new list with all uppercase letters. Looks like it worked. The first print, L is equal to the quick brown fox, all in lower. The second one is all uppercase letters. So why is that nifty? Well, you're processing each and every item on it. In order to do this without that syntax, we'd have to do something like this. L3 is equal to an empty list. And then for S and L colon S is equal to S dot upper, and then append that to L3. L3 dot append. That worked, I think. Let's print out L3 to make sure that did work. You could shorten this syntax by one thing, by not storing it in a temporary variable. And I should have put an S in here. Sorry, guys. Fix. Put the S in there. I left that out. Okay, so that worked. That's more likely how we would do it you know, if we'd never gotten any concept of this. And it's a totally legit way of doing it. You know, that's a totally legit way of doing it. However, if you can do it in one line, and if you look at it and it makes sense, it's a cool way to do it. I'm not going to ask about it on an exam, but it's worth knowing.
Mine says the list object has no attribute upper.
Did you put the parentheses?
Yeah.
All right.
As always, I did that last time.
One more thing I want to mention is how you append to a list. You can do it like this. L3.append, and then put something on the end of it. Bob. Or you can do it like this. L3 plus equals a new list featuring the word Bob in it. Those do the same thing. I'm only mentioning that because the quiz asks that.
Oh, okay.
Usually in this class I'm going to do .append. But if you like this syntax, and I kind of do, but usually I'm going to do that.
But then isn't it technically just changing the
Yeah, it's making a brand new list with the word Bob in it, and then it's appending it, well, you know, it's,
Right.
it's making a new list and then storing it back into L3 with that item added to it. Alrighty. Anybody need this stuff up still for typing or need a printout of it? Because I'm going to go on and look at the quiz now. Alrighty. You must do your own work. Do you agree? Yeah, of course we do. Here's where I really wish I could zoom in without it. Open frame in this tab. Okay. I would just recommend getting this done like, you know, if you got it done by like Friday or so, I'll have it graded and you can look at it Saturday. It's not like a lot of the material on the exam is going to be based on this stuff, but some of it is. How about we start scrolling? There we go. So what is the string function that returns true if a string is comprised entirely of letters and digits? We just saw that one.
S dot is digit.
What was that?
S dot is digit.
It's letters and digits. So
Oh, letters and alnum, sorry.
yeah, so it's alnum.
I just heard
S dot alnum, parentheses, like in parentheses.
I zoned out on all letters, digits.
How about if it's comprised entirely of letters?
Is out.
Right, S dot is alpha. Don't bother writing this down. You'll know it. Or you can watch the video. What is a string function that returns true if a string is comprised entirely of lowercase?
Is lower.
Yep, S dot is lower. How about all digits? S dot is digit.
Oh, whoa, 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 whoa. Oh, yeah.
Alrighty. If you have the following string,
Lady Gaga coming in strong.
yeah, she kicked Beyonce out of going to Coachella just because Beyonce is pregnant. Why do I know this stuff? Okay.
I saw it on my Google feed. So
Yeah, me too. You know, Facebook. Then write a print statement that would print just the first letter of the string.
Print S and then index 0.
Exactly. Print S, and how do we get the first element of a string?
Bracket, 0 bracket.
Square braces, like that.
Braces.
Sometimes I call them brackets, sometimes I call them braces. I'm not sure which is correct. Excuse me? Oh, on the next one? Absolutely. If you have this code, S is Tony Stark, print S -1, starts counting backwards. That's -1, that's -2, that's -3. You won't see that in any other language besides Python as far as I'm aware of. But it's a quick way to tell if a string ends with something, right?
Right.
If you want to find out if it ends in a question mark, you just check character -1. Okay, so that's a K. If you have a list stored in variable L, write a few statements that would print the entire list. And write them all in one line? That wasn't my goal. Okay, anyways, of course there's more than one way to print them out. I would use the for X in L nomenclature. I'm not even telling you what type it is, but it doesn't matter. For X in L colon, and then on the next line, print X. And if you used a different variable name other than X, that's fine. I'll make sure that the quiz actually has space for 2. If you have a list named L, which command adds the value nifty to the list?
I like both of those.
Append works, however,
So does that.
that one does, so we would want, gee, I wish it said B and C rather than 2 and 3. I'll fix that.
But why does? But my brain just clicked and said 2 and 3, so I don't understand why. I just,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
said 2 and 3.
If you have a string named username, write a single statement that would store in X a count of how many spaces appear in the string. Then there's some extra stuff like your answer should be in the format of x.username, whatever. X is equal to, we want to count how many spaces are in it.
Oh, how many spaces?
Right, we have a method that'll do that.
So it's gonna be X name count.
Dot count.
Yeah, it'd be.
Right, so X is equal to username dot count
And then put the bracket.
and put a space there.
Right, yeah, perfect.
Is that okay? All right. And you could use, no, it's a serious question. I want to make sure you're okay with it. And then you could use single quotes rather than double quotes.
Is that okay? I love this class.
Does it match what you were asking? What do you want me to say? No, I'm kidding. All righty. The next one. If you have a string named username, write a statement that would store in Y the index value of the first period.
What? So,
I don't think we did that. I don't think that we actually did that in our sample code. You could look it up here. It's called .find.
that's not fine.
Oh.
I'm sorry that I didn't give an example of that.
Oh, that's easy though.
Right. Y is equal to username dot find
Dot. Period.
in a period. Right.
The people that aren't here today are gonna
Well, it's on the like.
Yeah, they can watch the video.
As long as the microphone's on.
It is. It is. Now, as long as the microphone's plugged in.
So I would.
Okay. Write code that uses the len to print the length of the username. Just print it with no text. So print len dot. Nope. No dot. What am I doing? Parentheses username. Conceivably, you could do x is equal to len username, print x, you know.
That's just a lot.
How would that look in C++?
Excuse me.
How would that look in C++ if you wanted to do that?
It would look like this. Cout username dot length, something along those lines.
Ah, okay.
So anyways, print username dot len. What am I doing? Now you got me in C++. Alrighty. Print len username, right?
Yep.
Okay. What code below would remove all white space from the beginning and end of the string? Well, we didn't talk about this time, but we talked about it last time.
B, B, C, B.
It's that one. S.strip takes all this white space from the beginning and the end of the string and stores it back into itself if you do it like that. So that's wrong. And by the way, this one's wrong too. We'll get there. Which code would convert all the letters in string S to uppercase?
Well, you already told us that one.
I already told you that one.
So I'm gonna
There
go-
is no upper function, and there is no strip function, unless you wrote one. So S.upper returns a version of the string with all the letters converted to uppercase. Alrighty. Say you have a turtle named Donnie. Hey, Donnie. Write a command that'll make him go forward 100 pixels.
Donnie dot forward.
Yep. Donnie dot forward. If you like abbreviating to .fd, that's okay. 100. Now Donnie wants to turn right 10 degrees. He's getting to be a little bit more Republican. So, Donnie dot right 10 degrees. What would the, yes sir?
Don't you have to import turtle first, right?
We do. I'm assuming that we've imported turtle and that we have done Donnie is equal to turtle.turtle. You're correct. That would be a good point for this next snippet of code. I've learned not to put this would not work as one of my options because people will always find something wrong with my code and choose this will not work. You didn't add import.
It should be else,
Yeah,
not
you-
ifs.
You didn't save the document before you ran it. Okay, anyways, so say we have this code. We have a turtle named Donnie, and we have a function called drawShape. And that's what the function looks like. And then later on, we call drawShape and pass Donnie into it. What is this going to draw?
A drawing.
It is going to draw a triangle because it's got 3 sides. This while loop is going to count through what numbers? 0, 1, 2. We could shorten this loop a little bit though, if and we so wanted, by doing something like this. Instead of a while, I like for loops. For count in range 3, like that. Then you don't have to do count plus plus or count plus equals 1.
That's good. How would that for count and range?
Let me copy this,
Oh, never
paste
mind.
it
I
back
see
in
you're
there.
going count plus equals 1. That's why. Okay, I see.
Right, there's our code right now. We could rewrite it like this. Get rid of that declaration and use for count in range 3 colon and then get rid of that right there.
Oh.
These two functions would do the same thing. This one looks cleaner. You know?
But count, where's it getting count from? Oh, wait, never mind.
Yeah, the range statement, if you don't specify 2 digits, starts at 0
Okay, so
and goes up to but not including that one.
how's that gonna draw a triangle?
Well, it turns left 3 times and it draws 3 lines. And a triangle is 120 degree angles.
Got it.
Yeah,
But you don't declare count anywhere.
that declares it.
Okay.
Think back to our lists for X in L. Where did X get declared?
Okay, right there. Okay.
Right, so count is being declared right there. It wouldn't break it if you put count equals 0 above it, you know, but you don't need to because it's being declared after the
I
for
was just
keyword.
wondering how it was being increased. Like, that's why I guess.
The range statement increases it. Range is pretty cool because you could do something like this. I want you to start at 10 and I want you to go up to 100. So I put 1 past it and I want you to count by tens. So then it would do 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, and 100.
Well, that's equal.
It certainly would draw an ugly shape. It would draw the triangle over and over and over. Okay, back here.
Head spin.
Write a line of code that defines a function named Snoopy that has a parameter named food.
Don't forget the colon.
Don't forget the colon. Alrighty, how do we define a function? DEF space Snoopy.
And parameter, or parentheses.
Yeah, it's a parameter, so we use parentheses. Since it's a function, it has to have parentheses anyways. But it wants a parameter, and there we go. If you have this function, triple me x, y is equal to 3 times x, return y. Write a line of code that calls this function, passing in the number 10 as an argument, storing the result in a variable named a.
So
A equals triple me.
Yep, a is equal to triple me 10. I think I misspelled triple me. Triple me. There we go. Like that. Triple men. Triple me. There we go. Alrighty. Okay. So that'll be that quiz. That will not take you long to plow through it all, especially since you've just seen this. All right. If A, well, no, let's do this. A is equal to 10, B is equal to 3. C is equal to A times B. D is equal to A divided by B. E is equal to A slash B. F is equal to A percent B. What does C equal?
30.
Yeah, 30, obviously. And I'm, 10 divided by 3 is 3 point whatever. What does slash do? Floor division, which rounds down, so that 3 point whatever becomes 3. And modulus is what's left over after the floor division,
So it's 3.
which would be 1. Means remainder.
Wouldn't it be 3? Because that's what's left over is
30
3.
goes into 10 3 times. And then 10
Yeah,
goes
okay,
into-
yeah. You got it.
Just,
You're right, you thought floor division again. Yeah,
Right.
yeah, right.
just think of remainder.
Yes, 3 times 3 is
rem-
9 subtracted from 10.
Remainder, right.
Right, right.
Modulus just is
Got it.
what's left.
Modulus equals remainder. PIMDAS. What's the P stand for? Parentheses. E stands for exponent. Multiplication and division have the same priority, so you just go left or right. Same as for addition and subtraction.
Where does modulus go
It's tucked in here in multiplication and division. So multiplication and division actually cover that, and that. But if we would write all that in there, it'd be P, E, M, D, F, D, another M, and an A.
Heading up for this.
So we're going to leave modulus and floor division as part as MD. Okay, so with that in mind, if we had this, x is equal to 2 plus 3 times 4 to the power of 2 plus 1. According to PIMDAS, what's the first thing we do?
Parentheses.
We have to do the parentheses, so we're going to do that operation first.
144.
Yeah, I'm sorry I chose huge numbers. That wasn't really my goal. 1 plus 1. There we go. There we go. So that's 2 to the power of 2, because you have to do exponents next, which is 4. And now, once you've taken care of everything else, you just do it left to right. 2 plus 4 plus 1 is 6. That kind of thing. I know that we know how to do that.
Didn't we have a quiz on all this?
Yeah, we had this quiz. This is a review for the exam.
Sorry.
Right,
I was
right,
just
right.
thinking, I was like, oh man.
Yeah, that's why we're acing this stuff. Okay, so if we had A is equal to 3, A is equal, or B is equal to 3, and C is equal to 3.0. Which one's the string, which one's the float, which one's the int?
A is a string. C
Yeah.
is the float, and B is the.
That's a string. Did you say that one was a float?
No.
Okay.
You said it
And then
backwards.
you went to C, and then you went to B.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
okay.
he asked which one was the string.
That's
which
the
one was
order in which
float.
I did it, you're
That's
right.
the order he asked it.
Stupid Python tricks. Watch this. I don't remember if I did this last time. A is equal to Bob. B is equal to A times 10,000.
Oh, jeez.
Print B.
Oh, boy, here it goes.
Woohoo! So just like you can add 2 strings to make a longer string, In this language, if you do multiply,
Yeah, multiply.
yeah.
Is that, so, can you do division on a string?
No, but what would be a practical use for that would be something like, I want a string of 80 spaces. So A is equal to 80 times a space, like that. Or I want a string that's equal to 40 periods, 40 times dot. And then when I print it out, A, it'd be 40 dots. Otherwise, I can't think of a reason
I
for
don't
that.
think that's
I don't think it's 40, I don't think that's 40 dots either.
I think it is. Well, let's find out. We're going to count them one by one. Thanks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Can we just count A?
1, 2, 3. Yeah, we could do length of A. Length of A.
Yeah.
There we go.
It doesn't look like, yeah.
Does that look like 40 dots?
I'm thinking
It
about
is.
20.
It is.
Oh, man.
But then when he got to 10 and then.
When we got to 10, it really was only a quarter. 1,
Right,
2,
yeah.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, like that.
Then double,
10,
double.
20, 30, 40.
Yeah.
It's funny how it doesn't look it, but
We needed that more.
Is there any reason that they let you do addition and multiplication on a string? But
well, what would it mean to divide?
oh, that's true.
Well,
It could mean take the first half of the
That's
string.
you could
I was
find.
thinking.
You could find. It's another way to do a count, kind of.
Like if you had Canada divided by divide, yeah.
Yeah,
Canada
divided by
can,
3.
And then it takes can out and just leaves Ada.
All right, we know how to do this kind of thing, so I'm not going to demo it, but write code that asks for the temperature, converts it to a float, multiplies it by 10, and then says, aren't you glad it's not followed by that temperature?
Oh man.
Anyway, you know how to do that. Ask for the temperature. Print temp. Store it in a variable. Temp is equal to input. Then what?
Temp equals to
Temp equals float 10.
10. Yeah. Times 10.
And then temp equals temp times 10. There's shorter ways of writing that. You could just write temp times equals 10. And then we'd have a print statement that did that. Print. Blah, blah, blah.
Kidding. That's part of the day.
Don't do that when you
Don't
turn
tell me
it
to
in.
do that. Blah, blah.
Tim. I'm just going off what you said.
All right, the good old absolute value function. X is equal to 10, Y is equal to 13, Z is equal to the absolute value of X minus Y. What's it going to print? 3, because we know what absolute value means. And it wouldn't matter whether it was Y minus X or X minus Y, it's still going to be 3. What about the min function? Z is equal to min of X comma Y. What is Z equal?
10,
And max will equal 13. We understand if and if else. We know how to use for E in name. Not for, if E in name. If name dot ends with question mark, print. I don't know. Whatever.
Is it?
Yeah. Is it really? All right, some of these are so easy, I'm not going to even go over them. For example, what's the built-in function that displays data on the screen? It might not be echo. It's probably also not output or write. So it's print. Okay, some of them are, you know, as
Okay.
basic as that.
At first you were kind of confusing me, then I'm like, what? Echo, what?
Some of those things you would actually see in other contexts. The prompt, that's how you print things on the screen. Echo, what am I doing? What's the file name extension for Python scripts? .py. That's the file name extension, typically. I suppose you could store it in something else and have something that read that, but nah, py.
Yeah, I won't even get into that because it's confusing. No, even the ones that go into PyCharm still come out py.
Yeah. All right, Python, being a somewhat weird duck, has a couple of oddball functions. If you wanted to take 3 to the power 3, you could just do that.
Right.
You could also do POW, 3, 3.
Oh, that's
Why? I don't know. Maybe to match other languages. And then you could do import math and do math.pow 3 to 3. But that returns a floating point number. I can't think of any reason to use any of these other ones when you have that one.
right.
So I may remove this question. The question is, which one calculates 3 squared using Python? One looks like that, one looks like that, one looks like that, and then the last answer is all are correct, but math.pow is most properly used with floating point data, not ints. But so what? Can't we use floating point data here? 3.5 to the power of 2? 1.2 to the power of 0.5? Yeah, so I don't know. Remind me to ask that question out. How much have we talked about ands and ors? I know we've done it in the last semester. Are we good on the concept? If we had to write an if statement that said, if x is greater than 10 and x is less than 20, we know how to do that. If, what do I do? X greater than 10 and, yeah, x is less than 20. And by the way, in a lot of other languages, and is, that's the symbol for and, 2 ampersands. And or, that.
Does that, the pipe symbols, does that work in Python too, though?
I don't think so. Let's find out. A equals true, B equals false, print A or B.
No.
It just doesn't know what those vertical bars are. And since the ampersands and the vertical bars have been common in programming languages since at least 1970, I don't know why the Python
Why?
inventor didn't use them, but whatever.
It probably has something to do with Monty Python.
Yeah, Monty Python doesn't like no bars. Oh yeah, right. Okay. There are a lot of flowcharting questions on this that I'm going to delete. Just because that's 1113, not this class. All right, really, with the contents of the last quiz, the only thing that we haven't covered today is the end statement. If I had this, x is equal to dino, and y is equal to sour, and I want to print both of those in the same line, how would I do that? I can think of one
print
way.
X plus Y. Oh,
I
no.
wonder if this would work. Print x plus y,
That's what I was thinking.
but you could also use
Print.
ends.
Print.
Okay, let me read exactly why I have this word. Okay. Which of these? Okay, that's why. Which of these will print the word dinosaur on one line, not two or three, with no spaces in the word? So our options include print X, print Y. That's option 1, or A. Answer B could be print X comma Y. The one you want to see, X plus Y, is cleverly not in here. So print X comma end equals that, and then print Y.
It's gonna be that one.
It's going to be that one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we've beaten that one to death, I hope. All right, gang. We're done. Go ahead and take that quiz. It ought to take you 5 whole minutes. Then go over that. Go over all your homework. Just open up the Python files and make sure you understand what the homework looks like. Yeah. Let's make a Dropbox for this.